welcome, America. This is the Invent America show here on Invent America Radio on the King's Broadcasting Network. I want to welcome all of you to the very best of information and education. That's what we do here each week and every week. And as it's become traditional on this show, I always like to mention some great affiliates that are now tuning in. We have that great radio affiliate in Burlington, Idaho, KBAR. That's 100.9 FM. We want to put a big shout out to all of them out there in the Idaho area. This is the very best of information education when it has to do with home improvements and construction, inventing. This is the show. We kind of give you that blueprint to where you can learn a little bit about technology and how do you get that technology on the air. But don't forget, top of the third hour, Made in America. So we want you to stay tuned to that also. But I'd like to welcome my co-host and my partner in crime, the inventor lady herself, the originator. I call her not the duplicator. Please don't accept no substitutions. The inventor lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Rita, I kind of gave you my tagline. You know what I mean?
You did, but you can give me that tagline anytime you want.
Well, that's one thing about this show, Rita. This is original. You know, we don't copy anything. We don't counterfeit anything. We're here to help. That's all we try to do is help. And, you know, and get the stories from all these great entrepreneurs, inventors, and hear their story and how they got their products and their technology on the, you know, to market. And it's a process. And another reason why I mention that, because we have all our new audience coming in. We have new affiliates coming in. They might not be familiar with the Inventor Lady, the Inventor Show, Made in America. But hey, if you listen to the show, we have some most intelligent, smartest, educated listeners in the radio industry. I tell you, you're not going to BS them, huh, Rita? You're
That's
not going to
right.
BS them.
That's right. And yet we've been inventing for hundreds of years. In this country, the patent office started in 1790. So it's been around almost as long as America has been around. But before that, they were tracking intellectual property, you know, in the 14 and 1500s in Europe. So this has been a big deal, and it will continue to be a big deal. People solve problems and they want credit for it. Duh. You know, back in the 1790s and early 1800s, a patent was good for 3 years.
That's all. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This day and age, man, everybody would be racing to get something out there in just 3 years, because it takes 3 years now just for it to issue. And so that's what we're talking about today is, okay, now what? Because, you know, you went through, some people think that getting the patent is the hardest part. Nope.
No. Marketing.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Marketing.
That's
we
right.
talk about that all the time. You know, we go through the 10 steps, the blueprint. We try to, but there's one thing people don't put into the budget, and that's marketing. And but you know, now with social media and TikTok and Facebook and social, you know, all these platforms now, it's a lot easier to get your message out there.
It's different.
It's different. That's right.
Different.
You can get it out there, but you got to remember, once you put it out there, then, you know, there's no check and balances on the legality or the truthfulness or what I'm trying to say, misrepresentation or yeah. You know what I mean?
Social media, to give our audience an idea, you know, back in the day would cold call. You know, you're trying to get a product out there, you just keep calling and calling and calling until you get somebody to listen to you. Social media is equivalent to cold calling 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you don't help them understand that you've got something they want to see, they just keep going. All right. And so you've really got to pay attention. You can't just build it and they will come. Nobody knows you're there.
Yeah.
So there's got to be more to the social media. And for a lot of folks, it's a wild, cagey animal out there.
Yeah. And we talked about that because we also talked about, you know, kind of slowing it down a little bit to potential. You know, I know you agree with this, but when we hear, oh, you're not going to believe this, but I got my product in the box store, or a famous box store. I'm not going to mention them, but, you know, and they don't realize that, yeah, you're in the computer system, but you're not in the shelving system. And that's reserved for, you know, for the space. They have to sell that space. But
Right.
yeah, you're in the computer system, but you have to let people know you're in the system, and that's the point, right?
Right. And
Yeah,
so, for our Made in America hour, we've got Kevin Cody. He does both the online and then he does the Made in America section at Walmart. And he's gotten some really great products in there. But he's also doing the backside of that on the e-commerce and saying, go and
yeah.
buy here, go and buy here. So he's telling people where to go. And for a lot of our inventors that are in that early stage, it's like, well, my buddy works at Walmart. I'll get it in there. Nope, that is not the way this works. You have someone that owns an Ace Hardware. You might get it into the Ace Hardware because those are all independently owned. But those big box stores can be tough, 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 tough to manage.
Well, I can remember I did an interview before he passed away from Duck Dynasty. They live in Monroe, Louisiana, and Robertson. He passed away, and it was amazing. He tells the story how Duck Dynasty got into the Walmarts, and but it was that's when Walmart allowed local participation from local vendors. The managers of these Walmarts had the power to get local vendors on. You found they didn't have to
Yeah,
go through the main buyer, and
right.
the main buyer. And he tells the story that one day he got a call from the buyer and from Lowe's and said, "I'm so and so, and can you explain to me how you got your product there on and not going through me, blah, 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 blah." But they don't understand the regionality of Duck Dynasty and the duck calls and that's a Louisiana thing. I mean, every fisher, I mean, every hunter, every hunter had them duck blind ducks and stuff, and it was huge. So the point I'm trying to make is he created his own market through his product,
Sure.
and then eventually they had to go through the Lowe's buyer, which that's what
Yeah.
you have to do at Home Depot and Lowe's. You got to go to the buyer. You're not going to
Yeah.
get it in the store,
You've got to go to somebody who really knows what's going on. And so for a lot of our inventors, they want to be able to license it to somebody that does know what's going on. It's like the lady
Yeah.
years ago that had the little product called Disposal Genie, and she licensed it to Danco. And before she could blink an eye, it was being sold in all of the Home Depot and Lowe's in North America, not
Yep.
just in the US. And it
Yep.
still is, which
Yep.
I just think is really cool. Patents expired, and they are just selling this thing like crazy. When I got divorced, that was the only thing my ex-husband wanted to keep was the disposal genie.
I got you. But so tell me a little bit about our guest. Who we have today?
Well, my first guest is Frank. All right, there's a lot of vowels in here. Let me get this going in the right direction. Spampinato. Are we on the right track there, Frank Spampinato? He's got a product that is the patent is just issued, and then I've got Anthony Williams. He is in a world of hurt with his, and then we've got an industry expert that's going to talk about what's next. What do we do with patents as they're going through their lifespan, basically, because they're still only good for 20 years from the date they're issued. So, what do we do? And that's what we're talking about today.
Well, I remember when we first started the show, we only had maybe 3 or 4 bullet points on the road or the blueprint. But now, man, I tell you, each week we just increasing that blueprint, man. Now it's almost a thick wide of, it's getting up there, man. So it's great,
Well, it's a lot of fun, and when inventors randomly call me, or I find them on social media,
yeah.
and they call me up and tell me what's going on, it's like, ooh, cool product, let's get you on the radio. And for some of them, they're so surprised. It's like, okay, I really wasn't expecting to go this Monday, and it's like, you know what? There are 52 Mondays a year, so
Yeah.
let's get you going.
Well, it's getting their perspective. It's from them, and that, hey, look, let's face it, Rita. We host the show, but it's not our show; it's their show, and that's what we try to do. This show is for our audience. It's for our inventors. It's their show. It's their platform. It's to get their story out that
Right.
can help. Because when we can eliminate mistakes, we kind of mistakes cost money. Well, we're gonna have to take a short break. Don't go nowhere. We're gonna have a whole bunch of guests on right here on the King's Broadcasting Network. This is the Invent America Show because America invents. I'm the Cajun contractor alone with the inventor lady herself, Rita Crumpton. We'll be right back. Yeah, hey, y'all come back now. You hear? Hey, welcome back. This is the Invent America Show on the Invent America Radio. I want to welcome all of you back. I'm the Cajun contractor, Michael King, alone with the invent lady herself, Miss Rita Crumpton. We want to welcome all of you to upcoming guests and topics here. Now, Rita, who's our sponsor? Who we got that's going to pay some bills here? Help us pay some bills.
The sponsor of this segment is TrueView. It is the only accurate 3D real-time managing blind spot. So when that semi's coming up next to you, there's no more jumping because you actually see exactly where it is and what size it is and how close it is to you as it pulls into your peripheral vision. So no more scary stuff. Cargocatch.com is where you go to get your TrueView mirror. You never know, it might save your life. My guest for this segment is Frank Spampinato. And Frank, correct me on that. I say it different every time.
That time you said it perfect.
Oh, there you go.
You got it.
Wonderful. Frank is the inventor of the Firebag, and his patent just issued. Congratulations.
Thank you.
In America, about 50% of the patents do issue. The hard numbers, though, are that about 90% of them get 3 to 5 rejections before they issue. And the goal of the patent office is to, reject you enough times to think you might go away. So you had some really good staying power, Frank. Tell everybody, what is the Firebag?
Well, the Firebag is basically a fireproof insert for a fire pit. Because a lot of people have told me, and I've seen over the years, I love a big fire. I mean, I don't like the little, fires. I like a big blazing fire. And people would say, and I said this myself many times, the hardest part is the biggest pain of the good fire is the cleanup. And so I wanted to invent something that could mitigate the problems associated with cleanup and the inconvenience. And that's what I did.
Well, and that's wonderful. I've seen it. We had you at a trade show, and it was really cool the way that you just wrap it up and throw it away. All right. So what is it basically? What is it?
What it is, it's a fireproof insert. You insert it into the fire bowl prior to your fire. You put all the wood and everything on top of the bag, and you burn your fire, you burn through it, and you can either leave it sit overnight or but just sprinkle some water on it before you go to sleep. Just sprinkle some water, douse it a little bit, and in the morning you just wrap it up, throw it in the trash can, and you're done. And you start up a new fire. So all that mess and the scooping and it's not existent.
Well, and I've done exactly what you've said, and what a mess. You're right. The worst part of the fire is the cleanup part of it. So what's next for you? How are you going to get it out there? I mean, how long did it take you to get through the patent process?
Well, it took me, and it's surprising that I had this kind of patience, but it took me, I would say, a couple years to get through the process, at least a couple good years, because there were a couple stops and starts and back and forth, but I think the important thing that really got me through it all and got me to this issuance point was having a good team. And not trying to do things, not thinking that, I was the smartest guy in the room and I had to do everything myself, or I could do this and save money. And I didn't do that. I went out and I didn't have unlimited funds. I just went out and got the people and worked with people like Rita and got the people that I needed. If I had to go to an engineer or a previous employee of PTO or somebody who's out there doing, this kind of thing, I made sure I got the team together that I had to get together. And so the process may have slowed down and it may have cost, me more money, but I finally gotten to the point. You got to keep your eye on that end point, right?
There you go.
The end point was, I need this to be issued. So I'm going to get involved, a good team, whoever I need to get in there. And I'm going to pull dollars wherever I got to pull dollars from, resources. And so that's what I did.
Well, and good for you. I know you were so excited when you sent me the email that said my patent is issued. And for it can be a tough haul getting through that. I mean, there's always office actions and rejections.
Yeah.
And that's what they're paid to do. The examiners are paid to reject you. They get bonus points when they reject, and they get demerits when they don't. And so a lot of inventors going into it, they don't, it's like I cannot tell you how often I talk to somebody that says, well, I filed my patent. And it's like, uh-huh. And it's going to take 3 years for it to issue.
Right.
So when you get it going and you're able to get that done in less than 3 years, good for you, because it's a long, tough fight. And you're right. You've got to stay on it.
Oh yeah. And I mean, I think it took over 3 years, but I mean, you know what? You got to hang in there. You got to have the patience to hang in.
So what's next for you?
Well, I'm not a real salesperson or a BD guy, so again I'm going to look to the experts and people who can sell this thing, people who have the points of contact to know where to go, and so I'm not going to try to do it myself because I mean, you've got to you'd have to devote your whole life to this thing if you wanted to do that. And I just can't do that. But I'm going to get out there and look for the people that I need to enlist to help me get this sold.
Well, and that's very wise because we always look at the idea that most inventors, you have that wow moment, you came up with a cool product, but the business experience, the money, the marketing, being able to get it out there, it's like, shoot me now. Who wants to do all of that? You get somebody that wants to start their own business, even then they will hit a spot where they can't get it any further. And knowing that sooner rather than later gives you at least a chance of being able to get it out there.
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Well,
yeah, it's like the old job, right? That you do at home and then you got to go get somebody to do it right.
right, right, right. So anyway, Frank, thank you so much for being with us today. I want to let everyone know. Stick with us. We're going to be back with another inventor. Doesn't have quite such a happy story. He's still working on it. So we're going to go pay some bills right now. A big shout out to King's Broadcasting for making sure all of this happens. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America loves to invent. Been doing it for centuries and will continue to solve the problems for consumers for a long time to come. My guest for this segment is Anthony Williams, and Anthony's got a really cool building gadget, construction work gadget. Anthony, thanks so much for being with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. What is Tape Saver? What does it do?
Okay, it's a simple hand tool. It's used to seal the air conditioning units to the plenum, which is the ductwork that goes into the house. Well, it's really hard to reach area, so this tool allows you to get in there and seal that seam with tape.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So how long, I mean, we're talking about challenges of working with the USPTO here today, because people don't realize when they go, oh, I think I'll file a patent. I think I'll do it myself. Okay, there is nothing, pro se, no way. And that means you're doing it yourself. You know what they say about, a client who's, someone that's defending themselves, the attorney defending himself has got a silly person as a client. And so anybody that's writing their own, they use other words. I shouldn't use those on the air. So it's kind of the same thing when you file your own intellectual property, because you don't know what it is. It's hard when you know it's going to be hard, right, Anthony?
Oh, yes, definitely. Especially all the tricky little words that they're using all the time.
Yeah, that's,
All the descriptions and
the alphabet soup that the USPTO uses, and you're what is that?
Yep. Backwards, forwards.
And you got a rejection. Okay, every patent that's filed, there's over 500,000 patents filed every year by independent inventors. Every patent, and I went out and I used some AI and figured this out. 90% of the patents filed will get at least one rejection, and the average is 3 to 5 rejections. So, honey, you're just in the sweet spot of all of this.
Oh yeah, sweet spot. Maybe 3 or 4 years later.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, it can be a real challenge. So what have you been doing with Tape Saver in the meantime?
Well, I got a couple quotes from a couple manufacturing companies. Um, just want a lot, so just been trying to work around that.
So what is your goal with Tape Saver? What are you trying to do?
Just trying to sell it.
Sell the product, or you're trying to license the intellectual property?
Yeah, I'm willing to license it or sell it. Either way.
So you're actually looking at the possibility of doing a production run, right?
Yes.
Good for you. A lot of inventors, when they do that, what we call a short run, that's depending on the price points, anywhere from, 500 units to 1,500 units. At a certain point, you start seeing the price points drop as you get the numbers up there. But if you can make some and sell some, it's a lot easier to go after licensing.
Yeah.
You prove yourself in the marketplace, basically, and that's where, doing a short run and being able to get it out there, that makes all the difference in the world. How long have you been working on this, Anthony?
Oh, it's been going on 6 years. 6 years now.
And so did you do your own prototypes, and have you gotten, to the point now where
Yes.
you've had some other work done?
Correct. I've had, I don't know, probably 20 different prototypes.
Good for you. We always laugh about, well, how many prototypes? And, somebody goes, oh my God, my garage is like a museum of prototypes. And they always get a little bit better, they look a little better, they work a little bit better, and those are always good things.
Yeah, yeah. Especially since I do this for a living, so I was able to take it to work every day with me.
Well, and I was just going to ask you, what do you do for a living?
I do air conditioning, heating, HVAC.
You do the HVAC stuff. So, and for how long?
How long have I been doing air conditioning?
Yeah, yeah. Tell us about yourself.
Going on 5 years doing HVAC. But I mean, I know how to do everything. I can build a house from the dirt all the way to the shingles. So
Good
I
for
know plumbing, electrical, sheetrock, paint, everything.
Well, when we're talking to somebody that works in the industry that they're inventing in, we know that the product has a better chance because you see the problem and you solve the problem.
Yes, yes. And this tool cuts down labor, material, and injuries and time. Because you get hurt reaching into those tight spaces with those sharp corners of the aluminum. The aluminum sharp, it's like razor sharp on the edges.
That's for sure. And when you can, save time, money, fingers, all of that kind of stuff, those are
Yeah,
good products.
yeah, definitely.
So what's your feedback been from other folks that have said, wait a minute, Anthony, what's that?
Just amazed. Like, that's great. You know how you haven't got rid of it yet? No, I'm still waiting on the patent reply. And this company that I'm with hasn't been too forthcoming with information either. It's kind of hard to get information from them, but yeah, I'm gonna be done with them. I'm switching over to you, Rita. I knew
Well,
a long
and
time ago I should have done it. I knew a long time ago, but now it's time.
there you go. There you go. And these little tools like this, these little gadgets that fix things. It doesn't matter to me whether it's in the backyard, like for Frank, or in, a construction place, the kitchen, wherever it is. A lot of times those little gadgets are the ones that make the big difference. They make things faster, they're less expensive, they use less materials, they save lives or they save body parts. And those are a good thing because it's tough out there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, especially in HVAC. Those attics are not a joke.
That's for sure. It can be pretty nasty up there. And you're in Southern California, right?
Central.
Central. All right. All right. Well, we're down here in the Southeast, and it can get really hot and really nasty in the attics. And I know that there's a lot of other places that either really cold or really hot, one or the other.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if it's too cold, you want it to be warm. When it's too hot, you want it to be cold.
I know somebody like that. Uh-huh. So anyway, and I'm sure he is laughing because it's like, I know, the same thing I say. Too hot, too cold, want it switched around, too early, too late. But as you go through then, these next phases, how long do you think it'll be before that you've got some, inventory to sell?
It might be a little while. Might be a little while.
All right. I know that, one of the things that we talk about, and I'm going to see what I can do to help you move things along and get them done a little bit faster, is that time is not the inventor's friend. Somebody else sees, a problem out there and they go after it and they try to solve it, and they get to market and get kind of in competition with you. And so time is a very precious commodity. We haven't met anyone that could invent more time. Not yet. I keep asking for it. And we keep it's like, okay, that'd be really cool, but you can't make more time. And for most inventors, time is one of the biggest challenges. And so I'm understand kind of that strategy of being able to go back and fight it again. I had talked to another inventor this morning, and he was kind of going through the same phases that you've been going in. And when I told him, it's like, no, you're just kind of in the sweet spot of all of this. And he goes, are you kidding me? It doesn't feel very sweet to me.
Yeah. It feels like a wall.
There you go. But it's just one of those things. So, as we go out and, give you a hand moving forward, getting the product out there, seeing where we can make a difference for you, we will be in touch, and already sent you up things that should give you a good hand on that. So I am being given the finger from our then producer out there that says, wrap this segment up. So everybody, we're going to be right back with our industry expert. We're going to go and pay some bills. And there he is again. Let's go, everybody. Be right back. And thank you so much for being with us for this segment of Invent America, because America loves to invent. And my industry expert for this segment of Invent America is Raymond Baraska. Ray is a licensed attorney in New York and Connecticut. He has been working with inventors now going on for 20 years on the finance and contract side of things. But he sees inventors at all stages of life, basically, from I have an idea, what do I do? Oh, yeah, you talk to the registered patent attorney. I need this contract done. That's great. So Ray, it's like, yippee, the patent issued, but maybe things are not exactly done just yet. There's a lot more to filing a patent than just waiting for it to issue. So what's an inventor to do?
Well, I think the key is to do those things that you can do while you're waiting for the USPTO to actually act on your patent application. So what does that mean? Well, one of the things it means is making sure that your prototype is perfected, so that when you're finally given your patent, or you have an indication that your patent will issue, you're ready to go. The other thing you can do is you can make sure that once your provisional patent application is filed, so you're protected, you can start actually the process of marketing your particular invention. What does that mean? Well, for many people, what it means is going to a trade show. For others, it might mean putting their product online, either through a company like Amazon, or maybe one of the Made in America companies that competes with Amazon. There are many, many ways in which you can move your project forward, even while you're in the process of waiting for the next action by the USPTO.
Well, and it's funny because we talk about, that process. And I always tell inventors, it's like, when you're patent pending, you get out there and you start doing, the showing off, getting feedback. There's so many times when an inventor is patent pending and they get some really good feedback and say, okay, well, now there's more alphabet soup there, but you can do a CIP, which is a continuation in part. For a lot of inventors, they will try to do a PCT, which is the Patent Cooperation Treaty. And oh lordy, Anthony's getting ready to do an RCE, request for continued examination. So we are learning the alphabet soup here. But it's really funny because I'll get inventors that say, what just happened? And it's like, okay, yeah, you got the total rejection, but that's kind of just in the phases of how things get done. And you're not really rejected, just a little bit rejected.
Yeah, and the other thing that needs to understand, and you correctly pointed it out at the beginning of your episode, and that is that the typical patent application will get rejected at least once, and as you indicated, somewhere between 3 and 5 times is the average. Okay, so the good news in that kind of rejection is that you are working with an examiner who recognizes that what your registered patent attorney is trying to do is grab as much what I call real estate in the intellectual property realm as possible. And what the examiner's job is to do is to try to narrow that, because examiners at their best are basically gatekeepers. um, Most people don't understand that dynamic, that basically you are up against an examiner whose agenda and whose focus is on trying to keep as many ideas out of the USPTO as possible. And the reason for that is there's this perception among the professionals at the agency, and it's institutionalized at this point. It doesn't matter who the director is. This thing is this giant monster that just continues to march on. And one of the very significant fundamental truths that they adhere to is that most ideas aren't worth spit. And so they're going to be very, very hard on a patent application, and they're going to scrutinize it. They're going to look for things that are out there that either precede it or mimic it, and frequently they will reject it. And all the more reason why you need someone not like me, but someone who's registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office and who has a scientific background, because these are really nuanced points. And so the inventor shouldn't be dismayed when he gets a rejection, because that means that your attorney's doing their job.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, every once in a while I'll get an inventor say, well, I didn't have any rejections. It's like, then your patent was too narrow.
Exactly.
And they don't realize there's a tug of war that has to go on there. And if it just issues, the problem is it was too narrow because the examiner didn't find anything to push back on. And that's when it's easy for somebody to squeeze in and do something that is a lot like yours. And most inventors, they don't understand kind of that tug of war. You want at least one rejection.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really important point to emphasize again that this should be a tug of war. And if it's not a tug of war, there's something is not right. And that's a clear indicator to you that you need to look more carefully at what's being done on your behalf. And what happens with clients a lot of times is they basically go to sleep. They just assume that everything is being handled. And what happens is the registered patent attorney gets busy. There's lots of clients that they have. And so they don't stay in touch. It's really up to the client to try to stay abreast of what's happening with respect to their application and their
Absolutely.
patent.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can change attorneys if you don't like your registered patent attorney. You can get a new one. It happens on a regular basis. And two, you keep in mind that somebody sees something and another attorney might see it differently. So anyway, thank you, Ray, for being on with us and explaining how this works. We have got to wrap up this episode of Invent America.